In the previous videos, we learned how to make pencil marks and how to use those pencil marks to find naked singles, where there was only one number as a pencil mark that we could place with no problem, and hidden singles, where we found a pencil mark number that did not repeat anymore in a section. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go to the link that I'm leaving for you in the card up here to watch those videos and understand what we're going to do in this one. Now, what we're going to do is solve a slightly harder Sudoku in which pencil marks and naked singles and hidden singles are not going to be the only strategy that helps us solve it, because again, these are slightly harder Sudokus and they require slightly more elaborate techniques. So we have this Sudoku here that, as you can see, has very few numbers, or in general it has fewer numbers already placed than what we were used to in the previous videos. So let's start seeing what we can do with this Sudoku to solve it. The first thing we can do is pencil marks. Here we have them. And now we realize that first of all, there aren't any naked singles. There isn't any cell that has only one pencil mark. They all have two or more. So we can't apply the naked single technique. Let's see if we can apply the hidden single technique. So let's focus on this box here. Here we realize that the pencil mark for the number 7 appears only once inside this whole box. So here we can place the number 7 with no problem. Then we have this one where the number 4 is, but that number 4 does not repeat in the whole box, so we can also place it. It is another hidden single. And then we get this one where the number 1 appears only once, so we can place the number 1 with no problem. That gives us some naked singles. We can now place this 5, we can place this 3, and we keep placing all the naked singles that we see with no problem. Remember, if you're doing this by hand, after placing a number, you have to erase in that whole row, the whole column, and the whole box, the rest of the pencil marks that had that number. Here is another one. So we have these left, and now we're done with the naked singles. Let's see what else we can do. Here, for example, we have a 6, but in the whole box, there is no other pencil mark with a 6. So the 6 goes here. Then here the same thing is going to happen, but with the number 9. In the whole box, there is no other pencil mark with the number 9. Then here too with the number 9 inside the whole box. And that is how we keep moving forward. Here, for example, there is one, the number 6. And here we have the number 9, which does not repeat anymore inside this whole box. Again, please review this hidden single technique in the previous video if you don't understand how we are managing to find these numbers. Finally, here there is a 6 that does not appear anymore inside the whole box. And I think that with hidden singles, at least checking by boxes, there aren't any more. Still, it is not the only technique we can use. This is where the new technique is going to start. I'm going to teach you what pointing is. First of all, pointing is not going to place any number for you. I want you to be clear that these techniques are no longer based on knowing where to place a number, but what they are going to do is reduce the number of pencil marks that there are inside a cell. So, for example, look at this cell, which has 4 pencil marks. This one also has 4, this one also has 4. That's a lot. We have to find a way to start bringing down the number of pencil marks that there are in each cell. And this is the first technique that I'm going to teach you so that you can lower the amount of numbers that there are as pencil marks in a cell. So how are we going to do it? I want to explain it to you, first of all, with the middle part of the Sudoku. Only these 3 boxes here, we're going to see what is happening with the number 7. So notice that this number 7 here is already placed in the top box, and since it is on the right, it is already telling us that in none of these positions that I'm going down through, there is going to be another 7, because the 7 on the right is already there. And then if we look at the other 7 that is already placed, which is in the box on the left, we're going to realize that in this part here, in the whole column on the left, we are not going to find any other 7 either. So in the bottom box, the 7, one way or another, is going to be found in the middle column. And precisely here in the middle column, we have this pencil mark for the 7 and this other pencil mark. So we don't know whether the 7 in the bottom box is going to go on top or on the bottom. We don't know in which of these 2 green cells it is going to be. But what we do know is that in the end, it is going to be in the middle, and that is going to affect the other boxes. Now, let's see how that helps us eliminate pencil marks from other places. Let's look at what is happening to the number 7, but now on this part on the right. So we have a 7 already placed on the right, we know that in this whole column there is not going to be any other 7, but we have the possibility of placing a 7 here or a 7 here for this bottom box. And we have the possibility of placing a 7 here and a 7 here for the top box. But let's realize something very important. In the bottom box, according to the pencil marks, the 7 is going to be either up here or down here, but both of them are only in one line. And this line is saying that it does not matter whether it gets placed on the bottom and it does not matter whether it gets placed on the top. At the end of the day, when it gets placed, no other 7 is going to be able to be in the same column, no other 7. But realize that here we're saying that there could be a 7 because we hadn't noticed this before. We hadn't done this analysis. Now that we are doing this analysis and we say that this column is going to be occupied by a 7 in the future, one way or another, because of the bottom box, then in the top box, this 7 can no longer be here as a pencil mark. What we would simply do is erase that 7, and then what we get is that the only place where there can be a 7 is in this cell. So not only did we remove a pencil mark from the middle cell, but we also found the 7 in the top box. And now we have a 7 that is going to go on the left, in this whole left column, a 7 that is going to go on the right, and the middle one, we don't know whether it is going to be up here or down here, but it's reserved for this bottom box. That is pointing. So what I'm going to do is keep solving this Sudoku, and I am going to be applying this technique several times so that you understand it much better. But before that, remember that my book Mastering Sudoku Basic Level has a detailed explanation of all the basic Sudoku techniques. And not only that, but each technique has a special Sudokus that will help you put into practice everything you are learning right away. In addition, you'll find a lot of Sudokus of all the difficulties that you can solve with the techniques learned so that you can play, have fun, and learn to master Sudoku. The links to download it are as always in the description and in the pinned comment of this video. I know you will love it, and also that way you can support the channel. So get it? And now let's continue. Let's look at what is happening, for example, to the number 5 in our Sudoku. Look at what is happening in the top right box. The 5 as a pencil mark, we do not know whether it is going to be up here or here in the center. It can be in either one, there is no problem. But what we do know is that because it is either on top or in the center, but in this middle column, there is not going to be any 5 here or here or here or here or here or here or here. So these two cells that had the number 5 as a pencil mark, we can now eliminate them because that middle column is reserved for this top box. In the same way, let's look at the box on the bottom right. Let us realize that the 5 is going to be either here on the left or here on the right. But between those two, they are saying that in this whole row, there cannot be any other 5. It is already reserved for this box. So precisely this mark that we have here in the middle, we can remove for the number 5. The number 5 is no longer here because it is already reserved for a 5 to be in this row. Now let's look at what happens to the number 1. Notice that in the box up here, there is a pointing line with the number 1. So for this box that is here, we do not know in which one of these 3 the 1 is going to be, but it is going to be in this row. This row is already occupied. So this mark for this one can go away because we know that there is not going to be a 1 here. It is impossible because the 1 is going to be either here or here or here, no matter what. If it were not in any of these 3, this box would be left with no possibility of having a 1. There is no other place to put it. So we can remove this one from here, and well, after having done this, let's see whether we can keep using the basic techniques, because now this is about starting to mix techniques to solve the Sudoku completely. For example, here we realize that there is a hidden single, the number 1, only this one appears in this whole box, so we can place it with no problem, and these 2 naked singles appear. Then there is another hidden single here in this box, it is this one, only the number 3 is here, and we can place it. This one is left with the number 7, we can place it, and this one is left with the number 5, we can place it. We are applying hidden singles here too. The number 7 we can also place, and here the number 8 we can also place. Finally here, the number 8 we can also place, and a naked single appeared up here that we can also place with no problem. And now we can use pointing again. I want you to pause the video and tell me in this box that is appearing here highlighted, where there is a pointing line and which candidate we will have to eliminate because of that pointing line. Pause the video and I will give you the answer right away. Okay, I assume you saw that the number 4 is here and it is here. So in this box here, one way or another, the number 4 is going to be placed in one of these 2 cells. So this whole row is already reserved for the number 4. That is, this 4 cannot be placed here and we can eliminate it. Finally, with that we find the 4 in this cell because only this 4 was left here as a hidden single, and after placing it, it gives us this naked single with which if we begin to develop our Sudoku, we're going to realize that now we can finish it. There are only naked singles left to solve, and this is the easy part of the Sudoku. What happens is that getting here requires some techniques depending on how hard the Sudoku is, but at the end of the day, we got to the end of this one. It could not be solved with the other techniques. Naked singles and hidden singles are not enough, but pointing is a very powerful technique to start discarding those pencil marks that are placed correctly but that by logic can be removed, and that way you can solve more difficult Sudokus. So if you were stuck on some Sudokus, start applying this pointing technique so that now you can really solve them. That has been all, and I am going to keep uploading some other more advanced techniques so that you can keep solving harder and harder Sudokus. So I see you in the next Sudoku video.